Greetings, everyone. Welcome back to BA Balis, and welcome back to school, unfortunately. As sad as that is. And I'm, like, kind of sick. I don't know. If my voice sounds a little weird, that's why. I'm like the kind of sick that's like, I'm not sick, but I also don't feel 100%, so we're just gonna go with it. I got another package from Ted today, because, it's a little bit stuck in there. Because that's pretty much... Ooh, a sticker spoiling what is in this package a little bit, in case you didn't already understand what it was from the case. Ted sent me this bad boy, the BA Balis Nakiri, a ballad song with an I would say an unbelievable amount of pre-release hype around it from before it released, because people only just got them like a few months ago. Maybe not. I think people only just got them like a month ago, but we've been hearing about this thing for so long. So many people saying it's amazing. Got tons of nominations in the Bally Awards. A really, really high level of hype before this thing launched. And a lot of people wondering, maybe not a lot of people, but mostly myself, does it live up to the hype? There are a few things that I am curious about just looking at the design. But yeah, the BA Balis Nakiri, BA Balis' second design after the Sagaya. A design that I wasn't too fond of, and Ty made a video on it in the past, but let's just jump right in. Got a really cool sticker. I love, his dog is so cute. We got a kind of machine-wise style 3D printed box here, and opening it up reveals the Nakiri, which, if you don't know, is a Chanwich titanium balisong coming in at about $500. Live blade, and weighs about 4.4 ounces on bushings, obviously. But as you can see, it is very, very interesting. And right away, one of the first things I was curious about. It's a texture. We'll have to see how it flips, but just rubbing my hand along it right now, not the most comfortable thing I've ever felt in the world. I do also want to get a screwdriver out, because you can see we've got the weights down here. So, these are the weights, pretty standard affair. Pretty much just what you see from people like Glider or NRB. You just unscrew something and you just replace the screw. Glider used to have something very similar on their Antarctic and Arctic lineup. You got something like this with the Koenig. But I should just be able to take out this screw, which... Just take that out, and then this weight comes out somehow. Push the screwdriver maybe. Yep, there we go. Okay. Okay. And there we go. So now we can replace it. This looks like it would add a bit more handle bias. You can see the difference between the weights. It's pretty cool. Just pretty standard spacer setup, if you ask me. Nothing too crazy there. Probably should have paid attention to which way this goes in. I would assume it is like that. Or is it the other? Well, maybe I shouldn't have done the bite handle. That's what I shouldn't have done. There we go. Put the pivot back in. So it's a pretty interesting way. Pretty interesting weight system. Like I said, stuff that I've at least kind of have experience with. Just take the bottom screw out. Superfly, Arctic, etc. So good to see on this. And there she is, the Nakiri. It's a pretty interesting design overall. And one of the biggest things I've noticed is no tip. So the main thing that I use balisongs for is to cut boxes, which isn't impossible with this thing. Opening packages, not impossible, but since you don't have a tip to poke through the tape... Is there even tape there? No, there is. Since you don't have a tip to poke through the tape, it's like... It's like kind of a process that I don't really like, because I feel like I'm just going to miss, and then we just take something that, you know, has a tip, we just poke through, and then... Oh, great. There we go. Just poke through and cut. So it's like... I'd kind of miss the tape on, or the tip, sorry, on something like this. But I can understand why you'd want that so that you don't get tipped in the palm, I guess. Anyway, let's see how this thing flips, shall we? I would assume since these weights are in here that they would increase the handle bias because they go further up. Not something that I'm interested in, but this thing has a lot. This thing has been hyped up probably more than any other Balis song that I'm aware of, to be honest, just with how many people say it's incredible and all of that. Does it live up to it? Let's find out. I actually should check. Is this sharp? I actually literally can't tell. I picked the, this is just, I don't have anything to cut. I can't really tell if this is, whatever. It doesn't feel the sharpest, but it also could feel very sharp. So I'm just going to be careful with it. Starting off, a little bit heavier than I was expecting. 4.4 ounces is fairly normal. At this point in the hobby, it is a little less common. Like, we've definitely moved to a place where something like 4.2, 4, 3.8 is kind of more the standard. But nothing bad by any means. I always get nervous when I do scissors with live blades. I don't know why. I'm going to be honest, not the most comfortable flipper I've ever felt. This face texturing is grabbing me quite a bit. And while that does make for great grip, I can understand why some people would like that. Titanium is usually a material that I don't need that level of grip with. I kind of just prefer the smooth titanium rather than like this crazy texture. I think this was actually like tumbled more. You can see it's kind of like messing up my calluses down here and up here. I think this was actually like Ted mentioned he tumbled it or something like that, even more so than it already came. So it makes me curious how they come from the factory if this is how it feels. But titanium, like NRB removed the surface texturing from the Nemesis V2 to the Nemesis V3 because he felt that it didn't really do much. And while I can't really speak to how that went for the Nemesis, I can say that is too much grip a thing? Too much grip is definitely a thing when it's a little uncomfortable. And I would say the Nakiri is a little uncomfortable. Chaplain? Oh, there's not even a Zen cup. Yeah, it's an okay chaplain. You can kind of feel like, at least I can kind of feel this part rubbing against my finger, but it's nothing bad at all. I would definitely take this over something like the Wing or the old BB Superfly before they made the changes to that. As far as everything else, though, it feels like a pretty standard affair. Carries momentum well. I don't even know what I would put the balance at. It feels ever so slightly handle biased to me. I could see someone calling it neutral. I'll have a video on the future why I don't really call things neutral that often, but I could see someone calling this maybe neutral. I don't know. A little bit of handle bias to me. Jimping feels very good. Actually, the ladder on this feels incredible. The jimping is like a similar sharpness to the surface texturing, but it's just a little smoother. And on ladders, that's the one time that I kind of want something to dig into my hands on a Balis song. So I'm definitely not complaining about that whatsoever. It's a pretty, it's a pretty standard affair to me. Like, I'm mostly just noticing kind of how sharp this texturing is. Like, it's very grabby, and I don't really like that. I am a fan of aluminum Balis songs. Like, sure, they're slippery, but they're comfortable. Especially something from, like, Squid. It's very smooth to the hand. My Sliff T doesn't have any aggressive, like, edges or anything that grab onto me. So, yeah, that's the biggest thing I'm noticing with this thing. Not the most comfortable thing in the world that I've ever flipped. But everything else just kind of feels good, you know? Like, nothing about this experience is really wowing me for $500, I'm going to be honest. Especially when, like, even Squid has a titanium live blade now for, like, $100 less. I don't think it's an unfair price by any stretch of the imagination, but this just kind of seems like something where I'm like, I think I would go for the Swift T, personally. But that being said, I'm not feeling anything, like, bad here. Like, I don't really detect anything that I'm like, this feels weird. It's not doing what I want it to. So it's just kind of the situation of, I personally would have a little trouble spending that much on something like this. I would have trouble spending $500 on any Balis song, realistically. Even something like my Kuno. But I'm not going to say that it's, like, not worth the price or anything like that. It's just a personal budget preference of mine. Because it just, yeah, I got to be honest, I don't really have too much to say here. It's good. It's really tough to talk about something like this because of, like, how hyped up the Nakiri was. Like, you had that amazing launch video that not BA Balis, that Balisong Nerd made. Of course, BA Balis had a, gosh, I'm a mess right now. The amazing launch video that Balisong Nerd made. If you haven't checked out Balisong's Nerd stuff on Instagram, please go check them out. He also does stuff on YouTube, so go check them out there. But it was very, very hyped up, and people got these things at meets, and they were like, oh my god, this thing is incredible. Yeah, I wouldn't say I disagree. Feels good. But, I guess I'm not getting up to the level that other people kind of hyped it up to. Although flipping the wing is making me realize something about it. Excuse me. It kind of feels a little similar to the what is this thing called? The Canyon. Not in the sense that, like, oh, the Canyon flips similarly, because I don't think it does, but the Canyon has, like, that momentum. Okay, no, this doesn't feel exactly like the Canyon, but this definitely carries a lot of momentum, which something like my wing doesn't. I guess that's just titanium. This is the first time I'm trying, like, a new titanium Balisong since the Superfly, I guess. So it definitely has, like, that titanium level of momentum carrying. Yeah. It's good. I don't really have too much more to say on it than that. Very uncomfortable. Still can't get over that. Like, my hands are just grinding against the very extreme texturing, which was something that I was worried about. Basically the two biggest things that I was concerned about before I saw this thing were, how is that texturing going to feel? And how is it going to be without a tip? Like I said, I use my Balisongs on not a daily basis, but whenever I go out there in my pocket, and having a tip is very important to stab through things. So, not having a tip, that's going to turn me away from this thing. But I can understand, like I said earlier, that someone might not want a tip so that they could not be worried about, like, going for an aerial and palming themselves. I'm just kind of saying the same stuff now at this point. The BA Balis Nakiri, pretty good. I don't really have too much else to say on it than that. I'm going to pass on this one. If it looks like something that you would like, I think the last pre-order was a short time ago, and I don't think there's going to be any for a little bit, but go follow BA Balis on Instagram to get caught up on all of that. I'm going to pass on this one personally, but I can see why someone would like this for sure. Yeah, just kind of uncomfortable for me, but the balance is very good. I will say that. I like the way that it's balanced. Kind of similar to my Slift T, almost. Slift T feels lighter, and that's kind of why I prefer it, but carries momentum well enough. It has enough tip weight. It doesn't have as much tip weight as I thought for it having the thicker tip, though, which is surprising. Maybe it's just because the handles weigh so much, but like it does kind of, I don't know if you call this handle drag, but it kind of kicks out a little bit. Not the flattest fan I've ever seen for something with this much tip weight, but the fans feel good, which is really all that matters. So yeah, that's the Nakiri. I'm going to get going. Thank you very much to Ted for sending this thing to me to try out. And I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.